Hello my darlings, and welcome to this dedicated reading blog to the books on the international, sorry I've just got a comment, International Booker Prize Longlist and the Women's Prize Longlist. Okay, so I'm popping in here real quick to say I'm also adding the Stella Prize to this reading blog. It just came out, and the Stella focuses on Australian women and non-binary authors, so I will also be reading that for this reading vlog. And I'll quickly go through the books that have been nominated. I'm sorry if these are glaring, I'll take them off later. We've got Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, which once again I did give 5 stars to. Fireweather by Miranda Darling, which I gave a 3.75. Wait Here by Lucy Nelson. The Rot by Evelyn Araluen. I have read that, it wasn't for me, it's a book of poetry. Contra by Eunice Andrada, Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks, and Kami by Deborah Dank, Apron Sorrow, Sovereignty by Natalie Harkin, Canon by Lee Lai, Find Me at the Jaffa Gate, an encyclopedia of a Palestinian family by Michaela Sahar, 58 Facets on Violence and the Law by Marika Sosnowski, and I Am Nanit Garuk by Tasma Walton. I live in an area where people have big gardens, and so somebody's lawn blower always be blowing. Hopefully he stopped, but let's just push through. So I'm going to start with the Booker Prize nominees. I'll go through, tell you which ones I've read, which ones I've DNF'd, which ones I'm not interested in, which ones I will be reading. Okay, so whenever I say I'm skipping this book, just ignore me. Just ignore me. I have decided I am going to try every book on the lists. Everyone. Because I am allowing myself to DNF if I'm not enjoying it. So why not try all of them? You never know. So I am going to give them a go. My library also seems to be putting a lot of the prize nominees on their most wanted shelves, which means that you can get them immediately, but you only have them for a week. So I actually have a very good chance of being able to get to all of them before the winners are announced. So yeah, but just ignore every time I say I'm skipping out. I'm not skipping out. You know what? I think we might have to do a location change because this has been happening for about 25 minutes now. I apologize for the brightness. I have to put the ring light on in here because it's so dark. And we'll also have the noise of the lorikeets. I just can't win today when it comes to external noise. But let's just go through the list. So with the Booker Prize, we have The Wax Child. I have actually DNF'd this, but I'm contemplating giving it another go, maybe via audiobook instead this time. At the time, I wasn't vibing with it, so I did DNF it, but now it's been nominated. I think I might give it another shot, so I'm going to give that one another shot. We have The Director. I'm going to try this one. The wait list for this is the longest, but luckily my library does have it, so this is also contingent on me getting all of these books from the library in time. We'll see how many they can deliver. I was actually surprised that the libraries had a decent amount of the books and the wait times of some of them were not too bad. So we'll see. We've got The Deserters. I'm not sure about this one, I'll be honest with you. I might just try it if it comes in, because once again, this one has a long wait list, but we'll see how we go. The Remembered Soldier, I have no interest in reading, so I'm not going to. Same with The Duke. No interest. So then we've got Women Without Men, and I've already gotten this, so I got this straight away from my library, thank goodness. So I am going to be reading this one. Taiwan Travelogue. I have DNF'd this. I did pick it up, and to me it read like a very saccharine gourmet traveler article. I just could not get into it. I was not enjoying the writing style or the tone of the book, so I did DNF that one. The Witch by Marie Nadia, I did read. I was the most excited for this out of all of the options for the International Booker. Unfortunately, I didn't love it. I ended up giving it a 2.75. I just found it a bit pointless, disjointed. It was very disjointed. The main character, I couldn't understand her motivations or her absolute passivity. The witch element, the magic element in this was confusing, wasn't explored very much, and just this was, yeah, a bit of a mess of a book for me. All right, I think that guy's finished. I'm going to go back into the other room because I hate having a light in my face. Okay, we're back. Fingers crossed he doesn't start up again. All right, the next book is She Who Remains. I am really interested in this one, and I'm going to be getting it within 2 weeks, so that might be one of the next ones I update you on. The guy's back. We Are Green and Trembling. I will also be reading this one. The Nights Are Quiet in Tehran. I don't have any interest in reading, so I am skipping that one. Small Comfort, if I can get to it in time. This one also has a very, very long wait list. I will keep checking the multiple libraries that I have to see if they get any copies in, or I might even consider requesting one of the other branches to get it in, so I'll be first on the list. And then On Earth as It Is Beneath, I'm also getting very quickly, so that might be also one that I get to next. So those are the ones that I'm reading. And now we've got the women's long list. So we've got Gloria Don't Speak by Lucy Apps. I will be reading this one, and I think I'm going to get it in pretty soon. Paradiso 17 by Hannah Lilith Asadi. I'm not really interested in reading. Moderation by Elaine Castillo. I DNF'd. I love the cover of this book. Unfortunately, I did not care about the contents. I don't even remember what it was about. So I did DNF that one. Flashlight by Susan Choi, on the wait list at the library, although I'm not really that into it. So I will give this one a go though. This one is one that I will give a go. Dominion by Addie E. Sitchins. I will be reading this, hopefully. The Benefactors by Wendy Erskine. We'll also read this. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. The wait list for this book, in terms of the physical copy, 153 reserves. If everybody keeps the book for 3 weeks, it'll take almost 8 years for me to get this book. But I'm assuming that I will get it faster via ebook or audio from one of the other libraries. But yeah, my main library, the physical copy, 153 reserves. That is insane. It's probably one of the highest reserve numbers I ever saw, and I used to work as a librarian. So that is clearly a very popular book. The Mercy Step by Marsha Hutchinson. I am not interested in reading, so I will not be reading that one. The Others by Sheena Calaville. I will read. Kingfisher by Rozie Kelly. I will read. Heart the Lover by Lily King. I will read. Once again, the physical copy of this book, something like 135 reserves. However, the audiobook I should be getting within 8 weeks. Audition by Keita Kitamura, I did pick up and I did DNF. I know that it is supposedly a book of 2 halves, and I did not read till the second half, but I just wasn't enjoying the first half. And I also tried it. I tried both physical and audiobook. So I'm just going to say that that one isn't for me. A Guardian and a Thief by Megha Majumdar. I don't think I'm going to try that one. We've got Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I have read that book, and that was a 5-star book for me. I do love Charlotte McConaughey's books, and this was no exception. So glad to say I have read one of these in full. The Best of Everything by Kit Deval. Not interested in reading this one. A Beast Slinks Towards Beijing by Alice Evelyn Yang. This has the most gorgeous cover. I'm absolutely wishing on a star that this is going to be fantastic so I can own this book, because like I said, the cover is gorgeous. It does also sound interesting, so I will hopefully be getting to that as well. Like I said, this is all dependent on my library delivering these books to me. I will not be purchasing anything myself unless it's a 5-star read after I've read it. But I am hopeful to get to at least 80% of the books that I want to read before the finalists are revealed, or the winners. The winners are revealed, let's be for real. Luckily, these prizes do give you a few months, I think, before the winners. So fingers crossed. Thankfully, I am a member of multiple libraries, so my chances are elevated. I should have gotten onto this sooner. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it, I'll be honest with you. So I did drag my feet, and I think if I had just leapt on it straight away, regardless of whether I wanted to do it, I would definitely have gotten to every single book, every single one. But I hesitated. And then I started watching other people, especially Lid Loves, start doing it, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to get into it. I want to see what the books are like and see what I think should be the winner. I do love, because 1, I love translated fiction, and 2, I love women authors. So these are book prizes that I do want to bring attention to. So the first book I have on my list to read, the first one I'll be updating you on, so I'll just update you as I go with this. I have never done a long running vlog before. We'll see how I go with it. I'm a bit nervous. I'm just totally going to lose footage and things like that. So we've got Women Without Men by Shahrnush Parsipur, and Let me read the blurb for this one. So it currently has a 3.73. It says it's not going to be published till the 12th of March. So obviously Australia got it in a bit sooner. 118 pages, fantastic. It's set in Iran, and it says, a powerful and essential tale of female freedom. It traces the interwoven destinies of 5 women, including a wealthy middle-aged housewife, a sex worker, and a school teacher, as they arrive by different paths to live together in an abundant garden on the outskirts of Tehran. Drawing on elements of Islamic mysticism and recent Iranian history, this unforgettable novel depicts women escaping the narrow confines of family and society and imagines their future living in a world without men. This is translated from Persian by Faridun Farokh. We'll see how we go. I'm not always a fan of multiple character books, so a big cast of characters. Sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed by having to keep track of everybody, but I am intrigued by the synopsis. So Lydia has rated it a 3 stars, I've just seen. So maybe it's not that great. I haven't watched her latest vlog, which I think this featured, but it's 118 pages. I don't know if I'll DNF it. I think I'll just read this one in full. It'll only take me about an hour to read. So that will be the first one, and I will come back to you once I have read a book. Okay, so I'm back with the book. I did read Women Without Men by Shahrnush Parsipur, translated by Faridun Farokh. And it is a classical, magical realism, political lit fic. So that's a tree chipper. Yep. I'll be right back. Okay, let's try that again. So this is about a group of women who are fleeing oppressive lives and find refuge in a mystical garden where they imagine a different world beyond patriarchy. So this is set in 1950s Iran, and several women are just having a really crappy time with shitty men. One woman is so traumatized by sexual violence she literally turns herself into a tree. Another is a wealthy housewife. Another is a sex worker. Another is a politically aware teacher. And through a mix of coincidence and magic, they all end up at this house with a lush garden just outside of Tehran, and it becomes something like a sanctuary and a surreal escape from reality. Meanwhile, Iran itself is heading towards upheaval because this book was set around the political tension of the 1953 coup. I found the book to be very strange, lyrical, and odd. It had fairy tale logic, political commentary, and I think dark humor. And it was using that to explore how women navigate a society which constantly restricts them. The book is also historically significant, so I do want to mention that it was banned in Iran and the author was imprisoned over it. The main themes in this are female autonomy and bodily freedom, patriarchal violence and oppression. It is on page. Escape and sanctuary, female solidarity, political upheaval and history, and transformation. And this was probably one of the biggest themes in the book. It was quite literal, so I do want to read you a quote and then talk about this one particular scene. Suddenly and unaccountably, a thought came to Mahdot's mind. My virginity is like a tree. She felt compelled to look at her face in the mirror. Perhaps that is why I am green. She had an olive complexion with a hint of sallowness. There were wrinkles under her eyes. A vein tracked visibly on her forehead. You are so frigid, Mr. Eteshami had once noted. Like ice. Not like ice, she thought. I am a tree. She could plant herself in the earth. Well, I am not an acorn, but a tree. I should plant myself. So in this scene, this woman is beginning to think of her virginity as something sacred and fragile. And in the society she lives in, a woman's value is heavily tied to sexual purity and marriage. So instead of accepting that system, her mind takes the idea to an extreme symbolic conclusion. To escape sexual expectations, she turns herself into a tree. And by doing that, she becomes something untouchable, something rooted in herself, something outside of human sexual roles. because a tree cannot be possessed sexually. And so her transformation becomes this radical escape, because trees also reproduce through seeds and fruit, not through patriarchal marriage structures. So she no longer needs men. So I feel like this scene is a surrealist feminist metaphor that is about rejecting a society that defines women solely through sexuality and marriage. I'll read you a quote. "It doesn't make sense for a woman to go out in the first place. Home is for women, the outside world for men." So I've ended up giving this book a 3 stars. I did find there was a lot of fixation on, say, women with round faces being less than, and hymens having to be intact until marriage. So like I said, virginity is very important in this culture. There is grape in this book. I do use the R word. It is heavy on the magical realism. I didn't realize how heavy it would be. And the book was structured in a way that felt like short stories. It would just jump from character to character and do a little slice of what they're going through currently. So it also ended very abruptly. I was kind of confused by it. I don't know if it's a cultural disconnect for me, or if it's just because of the way the book was written and structured that made it just feel a bit airy-fairy despite the heavy subject matter. The writing style was also this very plain, calm language with symbolic type thinking and deadpan surrealism that just, like I said, disconnected from the murdering and the essaying and the oppression and fear that surely the characters were experiencing. That's the magpies. Vibe check. Mystical garden feminism. Quiet rage at patriarchy. Political allegory disguised as folklore. Who do I think would enjoy this book? I think if you like short surreal stories, or if you're someone who wants to read they're so cute, books about women forging strange communities, something similar. I have heard that there is a film adaptation of Women Without Men. So obviously the film, for me, it was giving arborescence with the turning into a tree, bandit queens, and the hearing trumpet. So yeah, the surrealism didn't super duper work for me in regards to this story. I didn't connect to any of the characters, and I don't feel like you really can because of the way that they're portrayed. So yeah, that's a 3-star. So I will update the list. I'm ranking the books. We've got my opinion in terms of my ratings, and then books that I have DNF'd. And I know I said that I was going to upload one massive vlog. That's ridiculous. I just realized with the amount of books I hopefully plan to read before the winners are announced, that would be like a 4-hour vlog, and no. So I think what I'll do is maybe I'll wait till I'm about an hour and then just upload it as I go, as soon as I hit that hour mark in terms of the books that I've read. I am currently reading Kingfisher now by Rozie Kelly. So this is a queer lit fic, and it is about a creative writing academic who becomes dangerously obsessed with a brilliant poet who smells vaguely like jasmine dirt, and his fascination with her is risking his open relationship with his boyfriend and his sense of self. I am enjoying it thus far. The writing style feels softly poetic, and it is laced with metaphors. It is very deeply internal and almost confessional in its style. It does have a dramatic, romanticized flair to it, but I'm just finding it very palatable and easy to read, and I'm actually getting through this quite quickly. So that is the next one that I'll be reading, and I'll update you once I'm done. Okay, I am back. Let me update you on Kingfisher by Rozie Kelly. So this was the queer lit fic, and it was about a reasonably successful academic who has everything he should want. So he's got a stable life, a beautiful partner named Michael, and a solid writing career. And then one day he meets a poet. She lives in a dreamy white house in the woods. She loves birds and just radiates enigmatic literary energy. And naturally, he just spirals into an obsession with her, and he begins orbiting her like some confused moon, while his partner Michael, with whom he has an open relationship, watches him pull away. And then illness, grief, and reality come crashing down around him. So the main themes in this are of obsession versus genuine love, artistic envy and creative longing, power dynamics in academia, queer relationships and emotional fidelity, grief and illness, projection and romantic fantasy, and devotion. I will read you a quote from the book. But then I have always demanded a lot of attention. It's likely that I found some masochistic joy in this beautiful man essentially ignoring me and staring at a stage all night. But also, I found a purer joy in watching him. His whole body moved fluidly to the sounds that filled the air. He brought us cheap beers without looking at the bar staff. He danced broadly and unashamedly for the supporting band, despite initially being the first to move into that wide, cavernous space. He's not a wallflower. He's not a flower at all. He is fire, an explosion, a spark hitting a stream of spilt petrol, the fissure in a sheet of ice before it breaks, the creak before an avalanche, a natural force that's impossible to resist. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 stars. I will say the main character, though, for some reason read a bit like a woman to me. It actually took me a second to realize I was reading about a man. I do love that he's a bisexual man. It's not really something I see a lot of in books. I loved the writing style, as I mentioned previously, especially when they were describing nature and the birds. It was very dreamlike in a way. It looks definitely at the entanglement of relationships with others and the parts we play in complex relationships. It was overall very tender and melancholy. There is one thing that is frustrating me though, and that is we don't find out who is on the other end of the line. The poet calls someone and says some things, and it does cause our main character to spiral a bit, and it caused me to spiral a bit too. I'm like, who's she talking to? Who is that? Who could it possibly be? And you don't find out. But yeah, I gave this a 4 stars, would read more from this author. Vibe check, bird symbolism, dreamy literary nature writing, melancholic academic obsession, water rings on wooden tables. Who would like this book? I think you would like this book if you like slow, character-driven reads. If you like books about artists and creativity, something similar, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, maybe, perhaps. So after that, I did pick up some more options. Unfortunately, I did DNF these next few. So there was A Guardian and a Thief by Megha Majumdar. This is a cli-fi lit fic, and it is about 2 families living in this flooded, famine-affected, near-future Kolkata, and they collide when survival pushes one mother to hunt a thief and the thief to keep running. It is very much playing on who's the thief and who's the guardian, yada yada. I ended up DNFing this because we open up the book where she's elated, ecstatic that she's finally gotten her passport and visas. This will allow her and her child to join her husband in America. So these are the most precious items to her. So fucking why, when she goes home, does she leave them in her handbag along with a carton of eggs, which is like very priceless. Like I said, it's a famine affected area and food like eggs, are expensive and rare. She just leaves them downstairs and then goes to bed. And I'm like, if I had something that was so precious to me and vital, and we're living in a place where people are being driven to steal and rob to survive, why the would you leave it away from you? That was just a very frustrating element. This book was also just very misery porn. So that's just one example. Obviously, yeah, her bag gets fucking stolen, okay, by the thief who's trying to help his own family survive. This is what I mean. The whole book, it was just really depressing, and things just kept going wrong and wrong and wrong, and I wasn't interested in it, so I DNF'd it. So this is joining the DNF list. I then picked up The Nights Are Quiet in Tehran by Shida Baziar, translated by Ruth Martin. So this is a historical political lit fic, and it is a multi-generational story about how revolutions echo through families long after protests end. So we have a main character who helps overthrow the dictator in 1979, I think, thinking things will get better. Newsflash, they do not get better. So he and his wife flee to Germany, where they end up raising their half German, half Iranian children, who themselves, when they grow up, go back to Iran. This was laborious, and I didn't care about the characters at all. So I decided to DNF this one as well. And then I picked up Dominion by Addie E. Sitchins. So this is about what happens when the perfect son of a powerful preacher confronts the truth behind his family's dominance. And the women who love them must reckon with the cost of silence. One of the men in this, one of the characters is a serial rapist, and obviously the love interest of one of the women, and I didn't want to read it. It was very heavy on the biblical stuff. This is a very biblical book. Religion features heavily, and like I said, essay against women features heavily. So for me, no, this is no way this is going to make my top 5. So I did DNF that one as well. Like I said, I'm going to attempt every single book on all 3 of these lists and hopefully get through all of them before the winners are announced. So that does mean that I will DNF books that I'm just really not enjoying. If it's feeling like less than a 3 stars, what's the point? My opinion is this wasn't good enough for me to want to finish. So then I went on to Wait Here by Lucy Nelson. This is a short story litfic collection, and it is a collection that is exploring the messy, contradictory ways women experience a life without children. They are, all the stories are united by one fact, and that is that none of them are mothers and that everybody around them has an opinion on it. So I'll quickly briefly tell you about the stories, and then I'll give you my sort of average rating for the collection as a whole. So we have Chances Are We Were High as Kites. This was my favorite short story of the collection. I gave this one a 4.25, and it is about 2 terminally ill sisters who decide to finish things off with a plate of crepes. Then there was Swooping Season, in which a young girl loses her parents and tries to process that grief during swooping season. So that's when birds swoop at you. Ariel, Marvin, I Don't Want a Boyfriend. This is about an asexual woman who is coming to terms with her sexuality. I did enjoy the reference to B1 and B2. I don't know if that is an international thing, if that's just an Australian show, but that was fucking golden. You Think I Can't Do Hard Things. It's about a couple who bickers and chickens get brutally murdered. I actually hated this book. I was not a fan of the animal death. Wait Here. I think this was about postpartum depression. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. This one's a bit confusing. I Am Bored. I Love You. It's about a loner who lives in a holiday town. It isn't like that. A woman thinks about her dead mum. All the World Loves a Baby. A wet nurse is haunted by the ghost of her own stillborn child. The Feeling Bones. A dancer's obsessed with skeletons. Ghost Baby. A woman terminates her pregnancy. Father Figure. A woman moves in with her sister to help raise her niece. I Am 5. I Am 12. I Am 20. This is about the sort of life of a woman who never gets to have a baby of her own. So this book was about approaching the idea of childlessness from different angles. So you've got grief, relief, freedom, stigma, ambivalence, rage, absurdity. It was a kaleidoscope of womanhood outside the motherhood narrative. So it was sometimes tragic, sometimes liberating. The main themes in this were motherhood as expectation versus choice, bodily autonomy, grief and infertility, female identity beyond reproduction, aging and sisterhood, social pressure and cultural narratives, and ghosts of the lives we imagined. I ended up giving this a 3.25 overall. I like the writing style. Not all of the stories worked for me. There were a lot more dead or terminated babies than I was expecting in this book. For some reason, I went in thinking that none of them had even attempted to have a baby or had accidentally had a baby or anything like that. No, it's not that. So do be warned in terms of trigger warnings. There's so many in this one. Vibe check. A woman living her best solo life. Dancing skeletons. Daydreaming about what ifs. Who would like this book? I think people who enjoy very bittersweet humor about serious topics, and anyone who is interested in the motherhood, child-free life and the pressures that surround it. Similar books, I don't know, Women Without Kids, otherwise maybe like Fleabag or Her Body and Other Parties. So I've decided for each vlog, I'm going to finish it once I have completed at least one book from each different prize list. So that's how I'm going to go about it. Let me sum up the books that I read for this reading vlog. Women Without Men by Shahrnush Parsipur, translated by Faridun Farokh. I gave this 3 stars. This was from the International Booker Prize nominees. When Patriarchy is Unbearable, Start a Surreal Commune. Kingfisher by Rozie Kelly, which I gave 4 stars and was nominated in the Women's Prize fiction. Would You Love Me If I Was a Bird? Yes, he does. And Wait Here by Lucy Nelson, which is on the Stella Prize long list. I gave this a 3.25. Motherhood, optional. opinions about it, unwanted. Let me know down below one book that you are interested in reading from any of these lists. And until next time, stay wild, Star Child.